Greetings and salutations, folks. My name is Mike King, and this is another edition of Rank and File. So what I want to talk about today is how do I do SEO for any CMS? It's a common question that we get asked, what is your approach to such and such CMS? And the approach is always the same. So the first thing that we have to do is understand why you picked that CMS to begin with. So hopefully you chose the right CMS for your use case. And in a lot of cases, that is what happens. You choose something that is lesser known because of the fact that it fits your business in some way. And so we want to understand what those reasons are and be in better alignment across whatever it is that we're doing. And then we want to investigate the SEO capabilities of that CMS. In other words, read the documentation. Every CMS has very lengthy documentation that talks about how it works, why it works, and so on. And more often than not, they have some very specific SEO considerations. So you want to understand how they handle metadata. You want to make sure that you have the capability to edit page titles and meta descriptions and structured data and all types of other metadata. It's not just the page titles and meta descriptions. It can be tagging. It can be whatever other metadata that's relevant to your content situation. So this isn't just an SEO thing. It also has to do with your content strategy. You want to make sure that it allows you to do 301 redirect. So, there is always going to be a use case for changing where a piece of content lives. And so the CMS has to have that capability. And then internal links. You need to have the capability to add internal links between pages. And so it's a funny thing to mention because, you would imagine just because you can edit a page, you have the capability to do so. But in some cases, CMSs don't allow you to add HTML. They are only WYSIWYG environments. Not sure why that exists or why that's a thing, but you need to know that the CMS has a capability. And then you want to make sure that the CMS has capabilities where you can make site-wide changes, whether that's on the template level or just by pushing something across the site. And so you want to get a sense of what the plugins are for the CMS. So a lot of CMSs, whether it's like an e-commerce CMS like Shopify or Magento, or if it's a more known CMS like WordPress, they have plugin environments where people are contributing new functionality that you can just plug and play into your CMS. A lot of the lesser known CMSs have this as well, so you want to know what's available getting into it. And then you want to make sure that you can do head inserts. So the head tag within a page, you want to make sure that you can insert new code there. So if we're talking about, structured data, JSON LD, we want to be able to insert that. Or if there are canonical tags that it doesn't have by design, you want to have the capability to add those. But again, going back to this idea of template level changes, the CMS should have a series of functions wherein you can insert something like that on the code level. Because at the end of the day, the CMS is, what is powering the site, but you still have to build your design on top of whatever template engine that it has. And then you want to see if they have the capability of allowing you to manage HTTP headers. Now, this is far less common in the CMS world, at least in my experience, but in some cases they do allow you to do that, so you can have different things, fired back based on like user agent or what have you. You need to know what those capabilities are. So that's the first step as an SEO to understand how can you actually do SEO for any given CMS. And then you want to make sure that the site is built effectively. So again, some of these CMSs can be what's called headless, wherein the CMS doesn't really have much of a pre-built interface, and so it's firing to your front-end code in such a way that you can build the site however you want and ingest the data from that CMS in any way that you want. So what that is basically saying is you have complete latitude to build a site in any way that you want, and so you may use something like React or some other front-end framework, but you want to make sure that you're still using server-side rendering such that a search engine can actually index that content. And then also following the critical rendering path. So making sure that the site is built from a page speed perspective to be effective and loading as fast as possible. So how do you do SEO for any CMS? The same way you do SEO for anything else. Understanding how that CMS operates is the first step, and digging into that documentation is the best way to do it. It really doesn't require much domain knowledge. It requires you to have SEO knowledge and then see how that CMS operates in that environment. So I hope that helps, and I'll see you tomorrow.